Some women carry a quiet power, a flame that burns unseen, yet its heat reshapes the air around them. They step away, not with anger or desperation, but with the unshakable resolve of a river carving stone. And in that moment, something stirs deep within the men they leave behind. A forbidden truth, raw and unspoken, that Carl Jung would call the awakening of the anima, the hidden feminine soul within every man. This truth is not about loss or rejection. It is about the magnetic pull of a woman who dares to claim her own worth, a woman who embodies the archetype of the silent oracle, knowing, untouchable, and sovereign. When a woman walks away, she does more than leave a room or a relationship. She fractures the fragile projections men cast upon her. Jung taught that the anima is a man's inner muse, a bridge to his unconscious, often projected onto the women in his life. He sees her as his savior, his temptress, his mirror, but rarely as her own being. When you, the listener, choose to step back, you shatter that illusion. You force him to confront the void within himself, the shadow he has ignored. This is not cruelty, it is alchemy. By walking away, you become the catalyst for his reckoning, and in that space, something profound begins to shift. Consider the man who clings to control, who measures his worth by how tightly he can hold you. His pursuit is not love, but a flight from his own emptiness. Stoic wisdom, as Seneca might whisper, reminds us that true power lies in mastering what is within, not grasping at what is without. When you walk away from such a man, you deny him the crutch of your presence. You leave him face to face with his own soul, unadorned. And in that naked moment, the forbidden truth emerges. He feels not just your absence, but the weight of his own unclaimed potential. He feels the pull of the anima, urging him to integrate what he has denied. But this is not a story of men alone. This is about you, the woman who dares to walk away, who chooses herself over the comfort of being needed. The silent oracle does not beg for validation. She knows her worth is not tethered to another's gaze. Yet the act of walking away is not without its shadows. Jung would say that every choice casts a shadow, a hidden cost. For you, it might be the fear of being forgotten, the ache of solitude, or the whisper that you've burned a bridge you cannot rebuild. These are not weaknesses, but the raw edges of your individuation, the process of becoming whole. To walk away is to face your own shadow, to embrace the parts of yourself you've been taught to suppress. Your anger, your desire, your unapologetic need to exist as you are. Why does this matter? Because the act of walking away is not just a moment, it is a declaration of sovereignty. It is the moment you reclaim the energy you've poured into others, the energy that belongs to your own becoming. Marcus Aurelius would remind you that you cannot control how others perceive you, but you can control how you honor your own soul. When you walk away, you are not abandoning love. You are choosing a higher form of it, love for the self, rooted in truth, not sacrifice. And yet the paradox remains. By walking away, you often ignite the very desire you no longer seek to fulfill. Why? Because men, like all humans, are drawn to what is whole, what is unattainable, what reflects their own unclaimed divinity. The silent oracle knows this paradox intimately. She does not walk away to manipulate or punish. She walks away because her path demands it. Her energy is not scattered, seeking approval. It is gathered like a storm brewing on the horizon. And in her absence, men feel the weight of what they've lost, not just her, but the possibility of who they could become in her presence. This is the forbidden truth. Your departure is not their punishment, but their mirror. It reveals what they've refused to see within themselves. So, listener, what does it mean for you to walk away? Not with bitterness, but with the quiet authority of a woman who knows her value. What stirs in your heart when you imagine stepping into that power? The path of the silent oracle is not easy, but it is yours to claim. And as you stand on the edge of that choice, a question lingers. What happens when a man faces the truth you've left behind? What does he feel when the anima awakens and the shadow can no longer hide? The silent oracle moves through the world like a whisper of wind, unseen yet felt in every corner of the soul. When she walks away, she does not merely leave. She carves a space where truth can no longer be ignored. This truth, steeped in Jungian wisdom, is that every man carries within him an anima, a feminine essence that yearns for integration. When you choose to step away, you, the embodiment of that archetype, become a mirror to his unclaimed depths. His reaction, be it anger, longing, or silence, is not about you alone. It is the stirring of his own psyche, grappling with the void you've illuminated. Consider the man who pursues relentlessly, yet offers no depth in return. His chase is not for you, but for the projection he's placed upon you, the muse who will save him from his own unrest. Jung would call this the anima projection, a dangerous dance where a man seeks in a woman what he refuses to cultivate within himself. When you walk away, you break this spell. You force him to confront the emptiness he's draped in charm or control. The forbidden truth he feels is not just your absence, but the absence of his own wholeness. He is left with the shadow, the unacknowledged parts of himself that he's buried beneath pride, fear, or avoidance. But what of you, the woman who dares to embody the silent oracle? To walk away is not a simple act. It is a descent into your own psychological terrain. Jung's concept of individuation demands that you face your shadow too, the doubts that whisper you're not enough, the fear that solitude is a punishment rather than a gift. Stoic wisdom, as Epictetus would counsel, reminds you that your power lies in what you control, your choices, your boundaries, your truth. When you walk away, you are not fleeing. You are claiming the sacred ground of your own existence. This is the alchemy of empowerment, not in being chosen, but in choosing yourself. Yet the act of walking away carries a subtle tension. It is not about rejecting love or connection, but about refusing to dilute your essence for someone who cannot meet you in your fullness. The silent oracle does not barter her worth for crumbs of affection. She knows that love, when true, does not demand self-abandonment. And herein lies the paradox. By stepping away, you often awaken in a man the very desire he failed to honor when you stood before him. Why? Because the human soul is drawn to what is sovereign, what refuses to bend. Your departure becomes a beacon, not of loss, but of possibility, a call to rise into his own potential. This dynamic is not manipulation. It is the natural consequence of authenticity. When you embody the silent oracle, you radiate a quiet power that unsettles and attracts in equal measure. You become the untouchable flame, burning brightly without needing to consume another to sustain your light. And in that light, a man sees not just you, but the reflection of his own unclaimed strength. He feels the weight of his anima stirring, urging him to integrate the tenderness, the creativity, the depth he suppressed. Your absence becomes a catalyst, not for his despair, but for his awakening. But let's turn to you, listener. What does it feel like to stand at the threshold of walking away? To feel the pull of your own worth, yet the tug of old wounds that beg you to stay, to fix, to prove. The silent oracle does not ask you to be fearless. She asks you to be honest, to acknowledge the ache, yet choose the path that honors your soul. This is not about cutting ties with malice, but about releasing what no longer serves your growth. It is about trusting that your value is not diminished by another's inability to see it. And so the question deepens. What happens when a man confronts the truth you've left behind? Does he chase, not out of love, but out of a need to reclaim his projection? Or does he pause for the first time to face the shadow within? And for you, what does it mean to walk away, not as an escape, but as an act of creation, a step toward the woman you are becoming? The silent oracle waits, not for his answer, but for yours. The silent oracle does not falter when the world grows quiet in her absence. Her steps echo with purpose, each one a testament to her refusal to be diminished. When she walks away, she leaves behind not just a man, but the illusions he's woven around her. Illusions that Jung would name as the anima's projection, a fragile veil cast over a woman to soothe his inner unrest. In her departure, the forbidden truth unfurls. A man feels not only her loss, but the stirring of his own soul, the anima crying out for integration. This is no small thing. It is the cracking of a facade, the moment when he must face the parts of himself he's long ignored, his vulnerability, his longing, his unclaimed power. Yet the man's journey is only half the story. The silent oracle's path is one of fierce individuation, a Jungian pilgrimage toward wholeness that demands she confront her own shadow. To walk away is to meet the parts of herself she's been taught to hide, the anger that simmers when she's been overlooked, the grief of unreciprocated love, the fear that her worth might dissolve in solitude. These are not flaws, but the raw materials of her becoming. Stoic wisdom, as Marcus Aurelius might offer, teaches that true freedom lies in embracing what is within one's control. When you, the listener, choose to walk away, you claim dominion over your own heart, refusing to let it be tethered to another's indecision or neglect. This act of walking away is not a rejection of connection, a reclamation of self. The silent oracle knows that love in its truest form does not ask her to shrink. It does not demand she pour her essence into someone who cannot hold it. And yet the paradox persists. By stepping away, you often ignite a spark in the man you've left behind. Why? Because the human psyche is drawn to what is whole, what is unapologetically itself. Jung would say that your sovereignty stirs his anima, the feminine within him that yearns for depth and authenticity. Your absence becomes a mirror, reflecting not just what he's lost, but what he might yet become. But let's pause and speak directly to you. What stirs in your soul when you imagine walking away, not out of spite, but out of reverence for your own worth? The silent oracle does not promise an easy path. She asks you to face the discomfort of uncertainty, the weight of old wounds that whisper you must stay to be seen, to be loved. Yet, in that discomfort lies your power. Modern psychology, rooted in trauma healing, reminds us that self-worth is not earned through another's validation, but forged in the quiet moments when you choose yourself. To walk away is to trust that your value is not contingent on his gaze, but intrinsic, eternal, like a star burning in the void. And what of the man left in your wake? His reaction reveals his truth. Some will chase, driven not by love but by the need to reclaim their projection, to fill the void you've exposed. Others will grow silent, retreating into their shadow, unable to face the anima's call. But a few, those rare souls touched by your departure, will pause. They will feel the forbidden truth, that your walking away was not a punishment but a gift. It was an invitation to integrate their own depths, to become whole. This is the alchemy of the silent oracle's power, not in controlling his path, but in illuminating it. Yet the tension remains. Walking away is not a guarantee of his awakening, nor should it be your aim. The silent oracle does not move for his sake, but for her own. She knows that her energy is finite, sacred, and meant for her own creation. When you walk away, you redirect that energy toward your own dreams, your own healing, your own sovereignty. And in doing so, you become a beacon, not just for him, but for all who cross your path. You become the woman who does not chase, but chooses. So, listener, what does it mean to embody this archetype? To walk away, not as an act of destruction, but as an act of faith in your own becoming. And what happens when the man you've left behind begins to feel the weight of his own shadow, the anima's whisper growing louder in your absence? The silent oracle holds the answer, but it is yours to discover. The silent oracle moves through the world with a stillness that commands attention, her presence a quiet storm that reshapes the hearts of those she leaves behind. When she walks away, she does not merely exit. She unveils a truth so potent it lingers like a shadow cast by moonlight. Jung would call this the anima's awakening, the moment a man's inner feminine stirs, provoked by the absence of the woman who embodied it. The forbidden truth he feels is not just the loss of her, but the exposure of his own unclaimed depths, the vulnerability he suppressed, the authenticity he's avoided, the soul he's yet to meet. Her departure is a mirror, reflecting his potential and his pain in equal measure. But this is not solely his story. The silent oracle's power lies in her own journey, a path of individuation that Jung described as the soul's quest to become whole. To walk away is to confront the shadow within, not just his, but hers. It is to face the whispers of doubt that cling like damp earth, the fear that she is too much or not enough, the ache of solitude, the temptation to stay and salvage what cannot be saved. Stoic wisdom, as Seneca might counsel, reminds her that true strength lies in embracing what she can control, her choices, her boundaries, her truth. When you, the listener, step away, you are not fleeing. You are forging a path toward your own sovereignty, a path that demands courage over comfort. This act of walking away is a rebellion against the narratives that bind women to sacrifice. The silent oracle does not linger in spaces where her light is dimmed. She knows that love, when authentic, does not ask her to betray herself. And yet the paradox persists. By stepping away, she often awakens in a man the very desire he failed to honor when she stood before him. Why? Because the human soul is magnetized by what is whole, what refuses to compromise its essence. Jung's anima theory suggests that men project their inner feminine onto women, seeking in them what they lack within. When you walk away, you shatter that projection, leaving him to grapple with the void it concealed. Your absence becomes a call to his own integration, a challenge to embrace the tenderness and depth he's buried. But let's turn to you, listener. What does it feel like to embody the silent oracle, to choose yourself over the illusion of being needed? The path is not without its shadows. Modern psychology, steeped in the study of self-worth, teaches that old wounds can make walking away feel like a risk. Will you be forgotten, unloved, unseen? Yet, the silent oracle knows that true power lies in trusting your intrinsic value, not in seeking it from another's gaze. To walk away is to reclaim the energy you've poured into others, redirecting it toward your own dreams, your own healing, your own creation. It is an act of faith in the woman you are becoming. And what of the man left behind? His reaction reveals his soul's readiness. Some will cling, chasing not you but the comfort of their projection. Others will recoil, retreating into their shadow, unable to face the truth your absence reveals. But a few, those touched by the silent oracle's quiet power, will pause. They will feel the forbidden truth, that your departure was not a loss but an invitation to meet their anima, to integrate the parts of themselves they've denied. This is the alchemy of your choice, not in forcing his change, but in illuminating his potential. Yet the silent oracle does not walk away to provoke or punish. She moves for herself because her soul demands it. Her energy is not scattered, seeking approval. It is gathered like a flame that burns without needing another to fuel it. And in that burning, she becomes a beacon, not just for him, but for all who encounter her. She becomes the woman who does not beg, but chooses, who does not chase, but creates. Her power lies not in what she leaves behind, but in what she carries forward. So, listener, what stirs within you when you imagine this path? What does it mean to walk away, not out of anger, but out of reverence for your own worth? And what happens when the man you've left begins to feel the weight of his own anima, the truth that your absence has unveiled? The silent oracle holds the answer, but it is yours to claim. The silent oracle walks with the weight of stars in her steps, each movement a declaration that her worth is not negotiable. When she chooses to leave, she does not merely close a door. She opens a chasm within the man left behind, a space where Jung's anima, the hidden feminine soul, begins to stir. The forbidden truth he feels is not her absence alone, but the sudden clarity of his own fragmentation. Her departure strips away the projection he cast upon her, the illusion that she could complete him without him ever facing his own shadow. This is the alchemy of her power. By walking away, she becomes the catalyst for his confrontation with himself, a mirror reflecting both his longing and his lack. Yet the silent oracle's journey is not defined by the man she leaves. Her path is one of individuation, a Jungian quest to integrate her own light and shadow into wholeness. To walk away is to meet the parts of herself she's been taught to silence. The anger that burns when she's been undervalued, the sorrow of unreturned devotion, the fear that her solitude might define her. Stoic wisdom, as Epictetus might whisper, reminds her that her power lies in what she can control. Her integrity, her choices, her refusal to shrink. When you, the listener, step away, you are not abandoning love. You are honoring the truest love of all, the love you owe yourself. This act is a radical defiance of the chains that bind women to self-sacrifice. The silent oracle knows that her essence is not a currency to be traded for affection. She understands that true connection demands mutual sovereignty, not one soul dimming to light another. And yet the paradox persists. By walking away, she often kindles in a man the very desire he failed to nurture when she was near. Why? Because, as Jung's anima theory reveals, the psyche is drawn to what is complete, what refuses to be possessed. Your departure shatters his projection, leaving him to face the anima within, the tenderness, the depth, the authenticity he's buried. Your absence becomes a call to his own awakening, a challenge to become whole. But let's speak directly to you. What does it mean to embody the silent oracle, to choose your own path over the comfort of being needed? The journey is not without its shadows. Modern psychology, rooted in trauma healing, acknowledges that walking away can stir old wounds, the fear of rejection, the ache of being unseen, the whisper that you must stay to prove your worth. Yet, the silent oracle asks you to trust that your value is not contingent on another's recognition. To walk away is to reclaim your energy, to pour it into your own dreams, your own healing, your own creation. It is to stand in the truth that you are enough, not because someone chooses you, but because you choose yourself. And what of the man left in your wake? His response reveals his soul's depth. Some will pursue, not out of love, but out of a need to reclaim their projection, to fill the void you've exposed. Others will withdraw, unable to face the anima's call, retreating into their shadow. But a few, those rare souls touched by your quiet power, will reflect. They will feel the forbidden truth, that your walking away was not a punishment but a gift. It was an invitation to integrate their own depths, to become the man who can stand beside a woman like you, not as her savior but as her equal. This is the silent oracle's legacy, not in changing him but in revealing him. Yet her power is not in what she leaves behind but in what she carries forward. The silent oracle does not walk away to provoke. She walks away because her soul demands it. Her energy is not scattered, seeking validation. It is gathered like a river carving its own path. And in that flow, she becomes a beacon not just for him, but for all who cross her path. She becomes the woman who does not chase but chooses, who does not beg but creates. Her sovereignty is her crown, worn not for others to admire, but for herself to honor. So, listener, what stirs in your heart when you imagine this path? What does it mean to walk away, not as an escape, but as an act of creation? And what happens when the man you've left begins to feel the anima's whisper, the truth that your absence has unveiled? The silent oracle waits, not for his awakening, but for yours. The silent oracle does not waver. Her steps a quiet hymn to her own sovereignty. When she walks away, she leaves behind a truth so potent it burns through the veils of illusion. Jung would name this the anima's awakening, the moment a man's inner feminine stirs, provoked by the absence of the woman who embodied it. The forbidden truth he feels is not merely her departure, but the exposure of his own unintegrated soul. The tenderness he's denied, the depth he's avoided, the shadow he's refused to face. Her absence is not a void but a mirror, reflecting the man he could become if he dares to meet himself. Yet, the silent oracle's power lies not in his transformation, but in her own. To walk away is to embrace the Jungian path of individuation, a journey toward wholeness that demands courage to face one's own shadow. For her, this shadow may manifest as the fear of being unlovable, the grief of unreciprocated effort, or the doubt that her worth depends on another's validation. Stoic wisdom, as Marcus Aurelius might counsel, reminds her that her power lies in what she controls, her choices, her integrity, her refusal to diminish herself for another's comfort. When you, the listener, choose to step away, you are not rejecting love. You are reclaiming the sacred energy of your own being, redirecting it toward your own creation. This act is a rebellion against the scripts that demand women stay, fix, or prove. The silent oracle knows that her worth is not a bargaining chip, nor her presence a salve for another's wounds. She understands that true connection requires two whole souls, not one sacrificing itself to prop up another. And yet, the paradox remains. By walking away, she often ignites in a man the very desire he failed to honor when she was near. Jung's anima theory explains this magnetic pull. The psyche is drawn to what is sovereign, what refuses to be possessed. Your departure shatters his projection, leaving him to confront the anima within, the creativity, the vulnerability, the authenticity he suppressed. Your absence becomes a catalyst, not for his comfort, but for his growth. But let's turn to you, listener. What does it feel like to stand as the silent oracle, to choose your own path over the illusion of being needed? The journey is not without its weight. Modern psychology, rooted in self-worth and trauma healing, acknowledges that walking away can stir old fears, the fear of being forgotten, the ache of solitude, the whisper that you must stay to be seen. Yet the silent oracle asks you to trust that your value is intrinsic, a flame that burns without needing another's breath to sustain it. To walk away is to choose yourself, to pour your energy into your own dreams, your own healing, your own sovereignty. And what of the man left behind? His reaction reveals his soul's readiness. Some will chase, driven by the need to reclaim their projection, to fill the void your absence has exposed. Others will retreat, unable to face the anima's call, hiding in their shadow. But a few, those touched by your quiet power, will pause. They will feel the forbidden truth, that your departure was not a loss but an invitation to integrate their own depths to become whole. This is the silent oracle's gift, not in forcing his change, but in illuminating his potential. Yet her power lies not in his response, but in her own truth. The silent oracle does not walk away to provoke or manipulate. She walks away because her soul demands it. Her energy is not scattered seeking approval. It is gathered like a star blazing in the night. And in that light she becomes a beacon, not just for him but for all who encounter her. She becomes the woman who does not chase but chooses, who does not beg but creates. Her sovereignty is her crown, worn not for others but for herself. And so, listener, imagine the moment you step into this power. Share the moment you felt most empowered in the comments below. The woman who knows her worth doesn't chase, she chooses.